Alright lads, so this month mid-month banner did feature 2 new 5 stars, that being the 5-star version of Baragon and also the first 5-star version of GGIO VEGA. And we are going to be reviewing them on the channel today, starting off with GGIO, and then we're going to talk about Baragon sometime tomorrow when we get around to it. So in this video we're going to be breaking down the character, letting you know his strengths, his weaknesses, and letting you lads know my opinion on this particular character. And if you watched my son video when we actually pulled the character, you can tell that I wasn't really happy about pulling him. No! Fuck! But my opinion aside, this is still a very solid addition to the game, especially for the GGIO fans out there that wanted to get their first 5-star version of GGIO. So with that said, let's break down this character, reviewing the brand new Technique GGIO VEGA in Bleach Brave Souls. So GGIO is a Technique Aaroniero with a human kill ability, and he does have a normal attack damage soul rate plus 30%, which is higher than usual, and we definitely really appreciate that. That means he's always going to be a very useful link for any future Technique characters. And of course, this character is all about doing normal attack damage. That's where most of his DPS output is going to be coming from. And you will see that from the skills where most of them are buffing his attack or making it so he's actually able to have an easy time attacking the enemies. For example, he has Berserker plus 50%, kind of a throwaway, but definitely still nice to have regardless. 60% Bruiser, Flurry plus 1, Follow Up, melee damage plus 10%, 30 in Guild Quest, Poise, Sprinter plus 2, and also Start Barrier plus 10. And then you have a look at his innate skills. He does come with Long Stride, Poison Duration, and also Guard Break. So a quick glance on his skills, you will be able to know that he is designed for Guild Quest. But the great thing about him is that he does come with Guard Break, and that therefore allows him to be useful in just normal PvE content. And he does have some extra survivability going for him, because he does come with the Start Barrier, Sprinter plus 2, and Long Stride, with Follow Up 2, making him a good auto character. And what you have here with all these types of skills is just a very solid NAD character that also separates themselves from the past NAD characters, because he does play a tad bit differently. But how differently does he play in certain game modes? Let's talk about it. So the first quest, of course, is going to be Guild Quest, the quest that this character was designed for. Now, I can't show you an example run of this team because Guild Quest currently isn't out right now for this particular quest, but I will be showcasing this team on the channel in like a week or two when it does officially drop. So GGIO's case, he is all about doing normal attack damage, and he is there just to be your NAD character. Very similar to past NAD characters designed for Guild Quest, GGIO is basically fulfilling that exact role. He is there to do insane normal attack damage, especially if you are someone that is struggling to beat this type of Guild Quest. Because he does have Start Barrier plus 10, it does mean you can give him full stamina damage boost as your bonus ability, and that will ensure that he will stay at full stamina for potentially the entire quest, which I think is really nice because it means you can invest into him and also have that extra bit of survivability, especially if you are rocking the team that you see on your screen right now, which this team doesn't really have any good crowd control. If you are struggling at staying at full stamina, then replace GGIO with someone like 6 Anniversary Eisen, for example. But with Flurry plus 1 and also a 90% Bruiser with extra melee damage, which gets increased in Guild Quest, you can ensure that this character is going to be one of the hardest hitting NAD characters for this particular Guild Quest week. If you actually look at your other NAD character options, they don't really compete with this character's damage output. So at the very least, at least for this very, very niche type of quest, GGIO will be one of the better characters used there. Having said that though, do keep in mind you can easily max transcend 2 Tartskis, and that will pretty much make this character redundant. But since this character is premium, you will start to pull dupes from him eventually, whether it's in 6 months time or a year from now. He will be very useful for that quest, especially if you are struggling in it. So Guild Quest, solid performance, you can't really complain about him, that's what he was designed for, so no complaints from me. For Epic Raids, currently he is a bonus for the Awakened Desirable Epic Raid for at least another 2 weeks, and again, very solid damage output. NAD characters perform relatively well here, since NAD characters really do shine in this particular game mode, especially if you are someone like GGIO, for example, that does have Flurry plus 1 with 90% Bruiser. Since I have gone with the full stamina damage build, the Start Barrier does help you for at least the first 20 or so seconds. It does mean you can just focus on getting your NAD. The Sprinter plus 2 and Long Stride does make it so you can easily flash step out of those instant kill moves, and overall again just a very solid character. However, in case you were wondering if you should bring Curiosity or someone like GGIO, for example, because they are still both bonuses for the Awakened Desirable Epic Raid, my advice and the most optimal character will still be Curiosity. So it's not like, you know, GGIO's bad or anything, it's just that Curiosity does significantly more damage, that you might as well stick to using him compared to someone like GGIO, for example. But that doesn't mean GGIO's a slouch whatsoever. He can definitely put in the work with his damage output on his NAD strings. In Arena, he's actually a pretty solid character overall. Again, nothing too broken, but he does come at the advantage of having that extra mobility since he does have Sprinter +2 and also Long Stride. Being a NAD character to start Barrier 2 with some good strong attack 1 and 2 to actually deal some decent damage in Arena, it does allow him to be, again, very solid. Nothing too broken, nothing really anything too insane for the most part. Not even a threat for most people out there, but he is definitely somewhat worth using if you do enjoy his gameplay. However, do keep in mind for this current Arena season, he isn't getting any damage bonus whatsoever. The current season rules does buff strong attack damage ×2, so Geo isn't really optimal whatsoever. The only time I really recommend using this character in Arena is if it's mini damage ×2 or a ranker damage ×2. If you use him in them periods, then sure, he's going to be a very solid character. Nothing again super broken to go against, he'll just be good enough to be used in Arena. And again, the long stride will definitely make him more enjoyable since you can get in and out of combat very, very easily. For Brave battles, let's quickly talk about that. Technically, you can use him here, but I wouldn't really recommend it, mainly because he doesn't have any extra DR. With characters without DR, don't really ever get used, but funny enough, he actually is a technical character with a human killer, so he is the closest thing to a Chad counter, because Chad is still dominant in Brave battles, but this Geo isn't really going to affect anything. I took him into a lot of games, and realistically, the only time he did somewhat decent was up against Chad. If you don't have him against Chad, he's getting clapped by a lot of people, and even when up against Chad, it's still not enough because he does lack DR. So, again, you could technically bring him to Brave battles, but I wouldn't really recommend it. For PvE content, so mainly includes point events, IZ, IT, for example, droplet zone, co-op content, single player content, he's a okay character to say the least. For co-op content, you can't even bring him in, mainly due to the fact that he is a mini NAD character and you don't really ever want to bring them into co-op content because it's just not really optimal. Having said that though, you can technically bring him because the long stride and the start barrier does allow him to get in and out of a combat very quickly, that I could see a play for him to be used. But with that said, it's still significantly better to bring any other SP character, even like a year-old character, would be a lot better for co-op content. For single-player content, this is where the character is going to shine quite a bit. Many for just altering easy content like single-player content, because he does come with, again, guard break, high damage output, some decent strong attacks. SA3 does have some great crowd control, which I do like. It groups enemies in together, and with the follow-up skill, for I believe our first mini NAD character, it does allow Geo to hit the enemies rather on the floor. So for co-op content, you could technically bring him. Again, I wouldn't recommend it. For single player content, again, decently good enough. There's not really much place for this type of character, any mini NAD character nowadays, to be honest, but you can use him, I guess, to auto a tad bit faster than some other NAD characters in the game. So with that said, in conclusion, what do I think about the newest 5-star version, the only 5-star version of GGIO VEGA? In my opinion, he's a okay character. Like, he has a massive damage output, don't get me wrong, definitely a massive damage output on his normal attack string, but with a mini NAD character with no extra inbuilt survivability, you're very limited on where you can actually bring him. You can bring him to epic raids, but he's overshadowed by someone like Kiryashiki. You can bring him into guild quests, which is great, because he's going to perform really good there, but at the same time, you could just bring 2 max transcended Tartskis. You can't use them in Arena, but again, there's just way better characters out there. And then again, you could bring him to co-op content, but again, there's way better characters out there. So he's a character that you really have to enjoy to play. Personally, I'm never really ever going to use him, maybe just outside of guild quests. He does have his place there, and that's mainly where this character was designed for. It's the same with many past NAD characters that are melee-based, for example. You're very limited on where you can bring them, but Geo does somewhat make himself a tad bit unique with that long stride and extra flash steps. Addition to that, when I was actually playing with a character in manual play, wasn't really liking his NAD string. His NAD string was very slow for a NAD character. I really didn't like it. It's not bad by any means, but there's definitely significantly more better and faster NAD strings out there that I would have much rather enjoyed on this Geo. So my opinion on this character isn't really too high. I still feel like he's a very solid character that has his place in multiple different game modes. It just really comes down to if you want to use him. I think he's good, but for me, very rarely am I actually ever going to use him. But I do want to say I do very much like his visual. I think his SA1 and 2 and 3 look really cool. That was definitely the best part about his gameplay when I was playing with him, is that I actually kind of liked using his strong attacks because of how they looked. And then they do actually work very well because you would use a strong attack, get the enemies on the floor, and then you can just attack them with follow-up. So for manual play, I feel like he's actually one of the more fun NAD characters. Even though I wasn't really the biggest fan of his NAD string, I feel like the visuals of the strong attacks and the way his NAD string plays into his strong attacks were really flipped fluid for the most part. So again, overall, just a very solid character with limited usability. I think that's the best way to describe it, mainly just because of the way the game is designed. Characters like this rarely get a massive time to shine compared to other game modes. But if you enjoy his gameplay, you definitely can use him in multiple types of game modes. It just really comes down to if you want to actually play with this character. So with that said, that was the breakdown for this character and my opinion on the newest and only 5-star version of GGIO VEGA in Bleach Brave Souls. In the comments below, let me know what you like to think about this character. If you did pull him, how do you like him? Maybe I'm wrong. Let me know in the comments below. With that said, hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.